What's up, guys? It's your boy, the man, the myth, the legend, Pick Droppers, back at it again with a football talk video. Now, in this video, I'm going to be going over last week's games and my predictions for this upcoming week. If you see that the gameplay is similar, it's because it is. I already posted it, but my other file corrupted, and well, I'm too lazy to make another gameplay. Yeah, let's go over last week's games. Now, first game is Denver, Carolina. Now, that was a huge surprise to me. I was not expecting for Denver to win that game. And they played really good on defense, and their offense really stepped up, especially C.J. Anderson. Now, another game, I'm just going to be choosing a couple of the games I like, by the way, because I mainly want this video to be about predictions, and I don't want it to be way too long. So the next game that I really liked was the Oakland-New Orleans game. That game was crazy. New Orleans was down by a lot, and Oakland was down by a lot, and they scored 22 points in the fourth to come back and win the game by 1 point on a gutsy call by Jack Del Rio to go for the 2-point conversion. That was amazing, amazing play call, and Drew Brees threw for 423 yards, huge game by him. Mari Cooper had a huge game. Willie Snead had a huge game. Huge game all around. And then another huge game that I loved watching was Kansas City versus San Diego. Now, this game went into overtime, and it was a huge choke job by San Diego. But at the same time, Alex Smith showed that he's a really good quarterback. He threw for 48 times. This is the same Alex Smith that loves handing the ball off, and all he does is pass to his tight ends. This game, he threw to his running back 7 times and his tight end 6 times. And then he's passed to his other running back another 6 times. But he did pass to his wide receivers, and he completed like 15 passes, which is pretty good for him. And both his touchdown passes were to tight ends. So, great job by Alex Smith. Now, the fourth game that I want to go over is the New England-Arizona game. Now, New England came out the gates early and started off with a 10-0 lead. Arizona stormed back, and it looked like, at least to me, that Arizona is going to come back and win the game. They come back 10-7. It's going into the second half. Arizona kind of has the momentum, even though New England's getting the ball. And New England puts up a touchdown, which was huge for them. Makes it 17-7. Then Arizona comes back in the field, and they score 17-14. And I'm thinking, well, they just lost the game. And no, New England gets another touchdown, and now the score is 23-21. And then wait, what am I doing? No, they made 2 field goals, and Arizona scores, and it's 23-21. Arizona gets the ball at the end of the game, and they get a kick, 47-yard field goal, and Arizona scores. I was really surprised that New England was able to come back and win the game. Now, the 5th game and second to final game is the Green Bay Jaguars game. Now, that game I really like seeing because I thought the Jaguars were going to win the game, and they were in position. And I was really surprised they didn't win the game because they did have 3:17 left, and they could have scored a touchdown for the win. Instead, they didn't, and they lost the game. But what I was really surprised by was Aaron Rodgers' amazing passes. Even though he only got 199 yards, he played great. I'm kind of sad that Jordy Nelson didn't do too well. While he did get 32 yards and a touchdown, I was expecting like maybe a 60, 70-yard game, come back strong. But it was only the first game with him back, and they haven't gotten on a roll yet. And Eddie Lacy, he played, I wasn't really surprised how he played. He played okay, and I don't think he'll be playing too good this year. And that's just my opinion, but I just don't think he's going to play too good. Now, the last game on my list is the Cincinnati Jets game. Now, that game was a great game. As a Steelers fan, I was pretty mad that the Jets lost this because they were up a pretty hefty amount. They were up, well, not hefty amount, but they were up substantially with little time left And I was surprised that even though Fitz didn't throw for a lot, Matt Forte played a huge game, and they let Cincinnati back into the game. Andy Dalton threw for 366 yards, which is a lot for him. And A.J. Green went off against Revis. There was like no Revis Island. A.J. Green got 12 catches for 180 yards and a touchdown. That's a huge game for A.J. Green. He played really well there, really showed off all of his skills and how great of a player he is. And Nugent made a clutch 40-something yard field goal. And even though the Jets had 40-plus seconds to go down the field, they weren't able to, and they lost the game. There were also a couple of other really good games. Seattle with the late Russell Wilson's touchdown. Detroit with the win over Indianapolis, the surprise win. Another great game was the Giants over Dallas. Even Baltimore-Buffalo was a really close game. Another really good game was Tampa Bay-Atlanta. It was just great games this week, and it was a really good week for football of great, great games. Now, upcoming to week 2, now this game I'm going to make a prediction for every single game. Now, the first game I have on my list is the Jets versus Buffalo. Now, this is an okay game. It's pretty much a game of defensive players, and they have 5 sacks total, both the teams combined. 5 sacks, which is a pretty big amount coming out of week 1. So I'll see a lot. I'm gonna see a lot of sacks happen. The Jets are actually first in sacks. Buffalo's 4th, and I'm gonna see not really a passing game because Tyrod barely threw over 100 yards, and Ryan Fitzpatrick threw for less than 200. I'm gonna see a run attack game with LaShawn McCoy and Matt Forte, and I'm going along the lines of 28-24 Jets. I think they're gonna get the win. I think their defense is going to step up. I think last week they should have won, but this week they'll get the win. And I'm just going to say maybe 2 touchdowns by Matt Forte. Maybe a running and a passing or a catching. And I'm thinking Brandon Marshall might get another touchdown. I don't know. But I am expecting for the Jets to win. Now, the next game on my list is a huge rivalry. Cincinnati-Pittsburgh. And of course I'm going with Pittsburgh. They're my team. They're also home. And they're playing against the rival who they're really going to want to beat because they're the team that knocked out Antonio Brown. Now, the Steelers, I think they're going to win through their passing game and their rushing game. I'm guessing over 100 yards by D'Angelo and over 350 yards by Big Ben. I'm guessing Andy Dalton's going to have a good game and A.J. Green, just because of the Steelers' horrible pass defense. But I'm guessing a sack or 2 by Pittsburgh and maybe a strip sack. I don't know. But I am thinking that the Steelers are going to win somewhere along the lines of 31-21. Close game, and then the Steelers hit a late field goal to basically shut down the game. Now, the next game I have on my list is Dallas-Washington. Another huge rivalry. And I'm thinking Dallas is going to win somewhere along the lines of 30-17, and I think Washington just has no offense. I mean, they got killed by Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has a horrible pass defense. I do think that Jordan Reed will get a passing touchdown, but I think Dak Prescott is going to go off for 3 or 4 touchdowns. Maybe Ezekiel Elliott will get a touchdown, and I'm thinking that the Dallas Cowboys will force 3 or 4 turnovers. I think Kirk will throw at least 2 picks. I'm just thinking that the Redskins just have no match for the Cowboys' really good offense. Now, the next match on my list is Baltimore-Cleveland. Now, this is a great game of bad teams. Now, Baltimore, coming off a victory against Buffalo, is looking to get to go 2-0 to start the season, and I think they will. I think they'll win somewhere along the lines of 42-21. The reason I say that much is because I don't think Cleveland's going to have any answer on offense. I feel like RG3's done. I feel like his career's kind of over. He gets injured too much, and he doesn't have any support. I mean, their offense is horrible. They have no wide receivers now. They have no tight end, no running back, no O-line, no defense. He's working with nothing. I guess you could say Kirksey's pretty good, and Joe Hayden's really good. But besides that, they have no defense. They need to field 11 players, and they only have 2 good players. And I feel like they're going to have no match for the Ravens offense, and I feel like they're going to get obliterated. I feel like Brissett's going to get at least 60 yards rushing, and Joe Flacco's going to go for over 300 yards passing. I think it's just going to be a really good game for Baltimore, even though they're away. Now, the next game I have on this list is Detroit, Tennessee. I feel like Detroit's going to get their second win of the season, and they're going to go 2-0, and they're going to win along the lines of 25-14. And I think Detroit's going to throw for a couple of touchdowns, probably around 2. I feel like they're going to get maybe a field goal and maybe get a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. Something like that. I just feel like Detroit's offense is doing really well, especially now that Matthew Stafford doesn't have Calvin. He's not just focusing on jamming the ball into Calvin Johnson. And their defense is doing really good. Especially that guy named Hyder. He's doing really good. I'm pretty sure he has like 2 sacks already at the start of the year. And I just feel like Detroit's going to come up clutch and get another win. The next game I have on the list is New England, Miami. And I think this is going to be a cakewalk for New England. I feel like they're going to win somewhere along the lines of 55-14. I feel like it's going to get obliterated. I feel like New England's just going to score so many points. It's not even going to be fair. I feel like Jimmy Garoppolo is going to throw for 5 touchdowns. Garrett Blunt's going to run for 2 or 3 touchdowns. I feel like Julian Edelman might get 2 or 3 touchdown catches. Gronk might get another 2 or 3. And I feel like the Patriots might get a touchdown on defense. And I feel like Ryan Tannehill is just going to do nothing on offense. Arian Foster's going to get shut down. And they're just not going to have the defense to stop the Patriots. I feel like the Patriots are going to run all over them. And the next game I have on this list is the Giants-New Orleans. This is a great game of quarterbacks, and I feel like both quarterbacks are going to throw for 350 yards plus. I feel like Odell is going to play really good. I feel like Brandon Cooks is going to play really good. I feel like it's going to be a shootout somewhere along the lines of 45-48. And I feel like the Saints are going to win this game along with Drew Brees. And I have no faith in the Saints defense, but I do have faith in Drew Brees. And I feel like he's going to have a really good game, 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 touchdowns. You never know with Drew Brees. He's such a good quarterback. And I feel like the Giants just don't have the cornerbacks to stop it. I feel like Eli Apple's going to get exposed. And I feel like it's just going to be an unfair game. The next game I have on this list is San Francisco, Carolina. Now, I have Carolina winning, especially as the home team, along the lines of 28-24. Now, a really close game because I feel like the San Francisco 49ers are a pretty good team, even though a lot of people expect them to play really bad. I feel like their defense is really good, especially with Ahmad Brooks and Navarro Bowman. And I expect for Blaine Gabbert to not throw for too many yards, but for Carlos Hyde to rush for 100-plus yards. And I feel like San Francisco is going to hold Carolina under 125 rushing yards, which is huge. And I just feel like Carolina is just going to come out with maybe an extra touchdown to get them over the hump to beat San Francisco. But that's just my opinion. Now, I feel like that's going to be a really good game. The next game I have on this list is a great game in Kansas City versus Houston. I feel like Kansas City is going to win this game somewhere along the lines of 35-31. I feel like it's going to be another close game. Even though Houston's home, in their first home game of the year, I'm pretty sure, I feel like Lamar Miller's not going to be able to be stopped by Kansas City. But at the same point, I feel like Alex Smith is going to go off, and they're just going to be too much for Houston's cornerbacks and Houston's defense. I do think J.J. Watt will get a sack or 2, but I do think Travis Kelce will get a lot of yards receiving. I think he'll go off. I think Brock just won't be able to score that last touchdown to get him over the hump. Now, the next game on this list is a very interesting game, Seattle, Los Angeles. Now, this is Los Angeles' first game at home. And I feel like the Rams are going to get obliterated. I feel like the Rams are going to lose along the lines of 38-10, something like that. I feel like the Rams are going to finally score some points since last being Los Angeles. They haven't scored points in over 20 years as the Los Angeles Rams. And I feel like Seattle's offense is going to be too much, and their defense is going to be too much. I feel like Doug Baldwin is going to go over 100 yards receiving. I feel like Thomas Rawls is going to get over 100 yards rushing. I feel like Russell Wilson is going to get over 300 yards passing. I feel like it's just going to be a fun game for Seattle. They're just going to stomp all over Los Angeles. Now, the next game on this list is Tampa Bay, Arizona. Now, this is a really interesting game because Tampa Bay has a really good wide receiving core and a really good offense. I'm actually going to pick them to upset Arizona 28-27. Now, I feel like this is going to be a great game. Best game of the week. This is my game of the week. I feel like Arizona's defense is going to play really good, get a sack or two, get a couple picks. But I feel like Carson Palmer's not going to be able to throw enough to get them over the hump. And I feel like Mike Evans is going to get a touchdown. Vincent Jackson's going to get a touchdown. Doug Baldwin's going to get a touchdown. And I feel like Arizona won't be able to step up on offense to provide enough support to get the extra points. And again, they're going to lose by less than a field goal, which really sucks for Arizona. And I think they're going to start 0-2. Now, I do think they're going to come back and make the playoffs, but starting 0-2 is a really big hump, especially in the division they're in. The next game on this list is Indianapolis-Denver. Now, this is the first game Indianapolis is playing a game against Denver in the last 3 years when Denver didn't have Peyton Manning. So it's not really a huge game this time around. I feel like Denver is going to win somewhere along the lines of 17-10. It's going to be a really low-scoring game. I feel like Andrew Luck's going to throw 3 or 4 interceptions. I feel like Broncos' defense is going to shut everything down. But I feel like their offense isn't going to go off, and I think CJ might get a touchdown or two. But that's really it. I feel like it's going to be a pretty boring game, pretty low-scoring. But at the same time, it might be an interesting game, but I do feel like it's going to be very low-scoring, and Denver's going to win. Now, the next game I have on this list is an upset. It's Atlanta-Oakland, and I have Atlanta winning somewhere along the lines of 25-12. Now, a really oddly scoring game. I don't know how it's going to map out. I just feel like that's going to be the score. I feel like Atlanta's going to get a couple of really good touchdowns. I feel like Oakland's just going to keep kicking field goals just like last week. And I feel like Amari Cooper will go off, but not for any touchdowns. And Derek Carr's going to throw a couple of key interceptions in the red zone. And they're just not going to be able to stop Julio Jones and Matt Ryan. Now, the next game I have on the list is Jacksonville-San Diego. Now, this is a great game here. I feel like San Diego has a great offense and a great defense. I just feel like they don't play like it. But I do think the Jaguars are going to win. I feel like they're going to win somewhere along the lines of 24-23. Really close game, really good game. I feel like Allen Hurns and Allen Robinson are going to score a touchdown apiece. And I feel like the Chargers aren't going to be able to throw for enough yards and run for enough yards to complete a comeback. And I feel like Phillip Rivers is just not going to be able to win. Now, the second to last game I have is the Sunday night game. Really great game. Green Bay, Minnesota. Now, this is going to be a really huge game to tell who's going to win the division. Minnesota's at home, and so is Green Bay. Now, last week, Minnesota didn't really have to play a good team in Tennessee, so you couldn't really see all their skills. And I don't think AP played too well. He played really bad, in my opinion. Less than 40 yards total. I feel like AP is going to go off this game, but I do think that Green Bay will be able to stop him, not shut him down, but stop him and hold him under 75 yards. But I think Stephon Diggs is going to go off for at least 100 yards. But Aaron Rodgers is going to go off for 400 plus yards. Randall Cobb's going to get at least 100 yards. Jordy Nelson's going to get at least 100 yards. Eddie Lacy's going to get at least 100 yards. And I feel like Green Bay's going to win somewhere along the lines of 35-30, something like that, 35-30. And I feel like it's going to be a really close game, but Green Bay's going to come out with the clutch victory away, and they're going to go up in the series 1-0 against Minnesota, and Minnesota is really going to need to fight back for the division. Now, the last game of the week, Philadelphia, Chicago. Now, this is a huge, huge letdown for a Monday night game. Like, nobody wants to watch Philadelphia versus Chicago. Who wants to watch Jay Cutler on primetime? Okay, raise your hand. Now put your hand down, you're lying. Jay Cutler is horrible. I feel like this is going to be like a game that's 11-10 or 13-10. Just a really boring game. I feel like Chicago's going to win 13-10, even though they do have Jay Cutler. I feel like Alshon's going to have a really good game, and so is Jeremy Langford. I just feel like Carson Wentz isn't going to show up. And for the second week in a row, Carson Wentz is going to throw for under 300 yards. I feel like their offense isn't going to be enough, even though they're 1-0. I feel like they're going to go to 1-1. Both teams 1-1, and just a really boring game. And that's it, guys. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you are new, and write a comment down below on what you would like to see next. It's your boy Pick Droppers, and I'm out. Peace.